Hey everybody, hope you are doing awesome today. My name is Wade Galt, and I'm going to share with you some strategies and some simple tools to help you start running your agency in the way that is going to allow you to make the most of your time, to make the most of your ability to focus on some of your main goals that you want to be doing to enjoy your life outside of work as well. So I work with entrepreneurs, insurance agency owners, and I've been working a lot with multi-line insurance agency owners. My background, I started, a dad's a State Farm agent. I've been in that world going on 20 plus years now. And one of the things that I've really focused on is helping people create the life, the lifestyle, and then also just the results that they are looking to create production-wise. So what I'm going to do is share with you a concept, and really it stems from a basic idea of making sure that you're getting from your agency what you want. So many agency owners I know they're almost kind of tiptoeing through their agency. They're kind of hoping nothing explodes. And there are certainly other business models where things can be a lot more precarious. You've got to be more aware of what needs to be going on. But if you're clear about it, you can run your agency in about 20 hours a week, and then also focus on achieving some huge goals that are really important for you and your business. And so what I'm going to do is share with you what that can look like. Now, if you'll see in the chat of wherever you're from, you'll probably see that there is a document that is going to take you through to the exercise we're going to go through that relates to this. So I'm going to, you can see that as well, but I'm going to take you through really kind of a basic conversation here. And I'm going to just focus on the slides here. And so the first thing is, many insurance agency owners, when they're running their agency, they're not really clear about what they want to be doing with their time, where they're investing their time, what they're doing. So they're working, and that's great. And work is good, and hustle is good, and energy is good, but they're not dialed in on what really is getting the absolute best results for them. So they're kind of working all the time, and there's not a sense of clarity as far as what they're supposed to be doing. So a 3-day weekend insurance agency owner says, you know what? Fun is going to come first. I'm going to figure this out. The business model is stable enough. The industry is stable enough. It's a century-old plus industry. I can make this work. And yes, my life outside, my play, is more important than the work in and of itself. And so you start flipping your calendar. You put that fun first, the work second, and you realize that as an insurance agency owner with a multi-line insurance agency, there's only 4 things you need to do for you to be excellent. The first thing is you need to have a certain lapse rate or retention rate, however you want to word that. If you can have a 15% lapse rate or lower, that's pretty good. A client's going to stay with you about 6 years on average. If you have a 10% lapse rate or a 90% retention rate, that means about 10% of your book leaves every year. So that means on average, you're going to keep a client 10 years. So that lapse rate is huge. Usually somewhere between 60 to 80% of your income is going to come from there. And then the second thing, whoops, went the wrong way there. There we go. The second thing is you want to be growing your business. You want to have ideally a 5%-ish growth rate. Now, if you're a newer agent, you're going to need more than that. If you're a more established agent, you might not need that much. And ideally, you're growing at about 10%. At a multi-line conversation, what we want to be looking at is that if you write 100 P&C policies, or your agency writes 100 P&C policies in a month, that about 15% of the time that some sort of life, health, annuity, bank product, disability insurance product, supplemental health, hospital income, whatever it is that you write is being written in as well. And ideally, you're doing 25% of the time. So really what we're looking for is, as you're writing that P&C business, that you're multi-lining. That's keeping the clients for a longer period of time. That's reducing your lapse rate. That's increasing your retention rate. And then the fourth thing you need to do is you want to be training your team and developing your team in a way where the agency is pretty much automatic. They're doing the things that need to be done, and you're only needing to hire every 24 to 36 months. So basically what you're doing is you are creating this agency. I call it an automatic insurance agency. Some people call it a self-running business, whatever you want to call it. Some people just call it a business, where you know that you can be away for a month, 2 months, 3 months at a time, and the business still runs. So if you're looking to do that, what you could do is say, you know what, 1 day per week, I'm going to focus on each of these most critical things, and I'm still going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do what I want. And sort of the anchor for this is, well, if you've just started scratch, you probably can't do this yet. But if you have your target income and you're earning that target income already, it's very likely you can do this. And then you can start looking at that on Mondays, you operate as that VP of retention. On Tuesdays, you're the VP of acquisition. On Wednesdays, you're the VP of multiline. And then Thursdays, you're the VP of automation. And technically, you don't even have to be there the whole day. If you can get stuff done in a quicker period of time, you can do it that way as well. And so taking all this back, I'm going to go greater in depth to that schedule. And now what I'm going to do is then take with you off of this simple assumption. If you're able to run your agency in somewhere between 20, even 30, even 40 hours a week, there's time for you to be doing other things. But what happens a lot of times, agency owners, entrepreneurs are focused on so many different things that they don't know where to start. And so what we like to do is say, first, let's just look at for this upcoming year, if you could only get 10 things done personally, if you'd only get 10 things done personally, what would those things be? And so for some people, what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, you know what? In order to do these things, I need to focus on some sort of sense of what's more important outside of business for me. And so what I want you to be able to do then is think, okay, if I'm working in a way where as an individual, I can only get 10 things done, what would those 10 things do? Now, again, if you got the handouts for this, you're going to see that those handouts are already in the chat area, or some of y'all, if you signed up through some of the LinkedIn Live or through the email stuff, you'll see that that stuff's already in there. And so what I want you to do is first think about what are the 10 things, if you could only get 10 things done personally in this upcoming year, aside from the basics, eating and sleeping and making sure you're safe and all that stuff. But if you get 10 new things done, what would those 10 things be? And take a moment to write those down. And even if you don't have the form, you can write that down on a piece of paper. And then what I'm going to suggest you do is of those 10 things, and again, you can see this in the presentation as well, or the handout, is of those things, what are 5 of the things that actually you don't really have to do? So they're important, but if you had to choose, you'd say, you know what, I'm not going to do that yet. I need to do something that's more important. So to give you a visual of what that could look like, if you said, look, I've got these 10 goals for my personal goals. And now what I'm going to do though, is I'm going to take 5 of the goals and I'm going to draw a line through them because they're important, but they're not the most important things. So if I didn't get those 5 things done, or if I had to get them done later, that would be okay. And then next, what I want you to do is then find 2 more goals, your 4th and 5th most important goals, and draw a diagonal line through those. So you're down to 3 goals. And then now with those 3 goals, choose the absolute one most important goal for your upcoming year. And here's how you know it's your most important goal. There's kind of 2 ways to define it. Number 1 is to say that your most important goal is the goal that it's the prime mover, it's the lever, it's the thing, it's the first domino that if you hit it, everything else happens. So somebody might say, well, Wade, personally, I want to do all these different things that are based upon me being in better shape personally. So if I got in shape, that would allow me to do these things. That's my first goal. Or Wade, even more primary to that, if I worked out 3 days a week doing cardio, that would do that, or whatever it might be. So your first goal might be something that it's that prime mover, it's that first domino. And if you did that, and we're going to make sure we have this be part of your schedule for the upcoming year. And then what I want you to look at and consider is, if you were able to hit that first goal, what would it mean? So again, these can be all sorts of different things. It might be that you're going to work out a certain amount. It might be that you're going to commit to running a marathon. It might be that you're just going to eat healthy 4 days a week or 5 days a week, and you're going to eat, only eat your junk food on the weekends, whatever it might be. But what would that mean? How would it change your life? And how would it change the lives of the people around you? So this is where we want to get down to just one goal for this upcoming year. I don't want you to have 10 goals. I want you to have one goal. And how would you feel if you achieve this goal? And then equally important as hitting the goal, what would this set up for you? So what would be the next thing that you could do because you're achieving this goal? What would that allow to be possible for you? And so from there, what I want to do is we're going to build upon that. We're going to say, okay, so you have your personal goal. Now we're going to go to your business goals for next year. And I want to suggest to you something. We're only going to end up choosing one business goal here. Now, you still need to maintain your business. So that's almost a given. As an insurance agency owner, that's part of what you have to do. But separately from that, I want you to list your top 10 professional goals. And what you're going to find when you do that is after you list them, you're going to find that some of those goals are very specific to your industry, or they're very specific to getting a certain award, or they're very specific to being something that leads to something else. So there might be a lead measure, or they might be, so a lead measure being, they're an activity. Wade, I'm going to make a certain number of sales calls. Okay, well, is that your real goal? Oh, Wade, that's not the main goal. The main goal is I sell a certain number of things. Okay, well, I'm selling a certain number of things. Is that the real goal? Well, I want to make a certain amount of money. Oh, okay. So what you're going to find is as we get from your top 10 business goals for the year, and then we do this same process and we start saying, okay, let's bring them down. Let's dial them back. Let's say, what are 5 of those goals that are not your 10 most important goals, and draw a line through them. And then let's find that 4th and 5th most important goal, and let's draw a diagonal line through that. And let's get to circling that one most important goal for this upcoming year. And again, that one goal, in this case, there's 2 ways I usually find with business goals. Is number one, again, it might be that your most important goal is that goal that's the prime mover. If you do that goal, it's going to make everything else happen. So Wade, I want to have a certain number of multi-line review appointments. If I have 100 multi-line review appointments this year, I'm going to crush my scorecard goals, my company goals. I'm going to hit all my production goals. Great. Wade, if I make X number of sales calls, if I go to X number of meetings, whatever it might be. So it might be that your goal is like, Wade, if I do this, I know that's going to happen. The other goal is almost the exact opposite. It's the goal that if you hit this, nothing else really matters because everything else contributed to this. So you might say, Wade, I want to net a certain amount of income. I want to net $250,000, $500,000, $1 million this upcoming year, whatever it might be. And if I net that amount, then all the other goals, the production goals, the life health goals, the PNC goals, whatever, they led to this. So it actually doesn't really matter to me if I hit this little specific goal. These 9 other goals, they all led up to this one big goal. So the equivalent might be if you say, Wade, you know what, I want to win a championship in professional sports. If I win the NBA championship, I really don't care if I hit my practice goals or my this or my that. Everything was leading up to that. So again, we want to get down to that one main goal. And then from that goal, again, to consider what would it mean if you made this goal happen? How would it change your life? And how would it change the lives of the people around you? So not just your family members, but your team members, your professionals, your peers. How would you feel? And again, if you achieve this goal, what could you then set as your next goal? So let's say your goal is, I'm going to complete my CHFC. Okay, now I can advertise myself and communicate that I'm an advisor. Now I can do certain financial service products. So hitting some of these goals now sets you up. And so now with this goal having been achieved, you're in a position to now do something bigger than you had done before. So that can be something that's very powerful. So now what I want you to consider is, we're going to assume now that you can get to these 2 goals, your personal goal and your professional goal. And we're going to show you where they come in your schedule. But we're going to dial in now on your schedule for the work and what this looks like. So if you want to get really clear on how to get your agency running in about 20 hours a week, if you're an insurance agency owner and you're taking home your target income and you have a team of professionals that are working with you, service team members, sales team members, your schedule can look something like this. So, So what we're going to do here, I forgot one little slide there. Let me just fix some of the slide there. So I'm going to show you what this looks like here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be very clear. Again, we're going to start with this framework of having it be that you take off on the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, the Fridays and the Saturdays and the Sundays, and that those are not in any way part of your week. You're just making sure that you're getting to those things and you're doing those things. So on your weekend, you're able to do the things that are most important to you as far as your life, your lifestyle, and whatever is most important to you. And then so during the week, what we're going to do is on Monday, we're going to focus on retention, because we know that in your overall agency model, that the retention is the most important thing that we want to make sure is happening. So what we're going to do is on Mondays, we're going to have you do your retention work. And so we're going to have you be basically your VP of retention on a Monday. And so on a Monday, you're going to come in and you're going to do those things that are most important to you retaining customers. So if all you do on Monday is you have it be that you are helping retain your best customers from a CEO standpoint, that's your job. So you don't need to be doing a lot of different activities. You don't need to be specifically being the one that connects with the customers, but you are, from a CEO of retention, making sure you get to your results. So again, on Monday, what you're doing is, let's say in the morning, you're reviewing your lapse rate or your retention reports, your growth reports. You might decide you're going to write your customer thank yous. If that's something you do, you're going to check your email. You're going to meet with your retention team and talk about their progress and discuss their updates. And if everything else is working, and if retention's looking good, and your retention rate and your lapse rate and all that stuff is looking good, you can be done for the day. So again, you've got your Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. You've got your mornings where you're preparing to commute. Your evenings are off. And on Mondays, if you can get this all done in the first 4 hours of your day, or if it takes you 8 hours, great. You stay until you make sure you're retaining as best as possible. On Tuesdays, you're leading your PNC sales marketing team, and you're reviewing marketing ROI reports with them. You're working on your top 20 prospects, and you might be bringing food to centers of influence, bagels, donuts, and pizza, to mortgage brokers, to realtors, to other people, to apartment complexes where they can bring people to you. And again, if you have everything wrapped up and that's all taken care of, then you can just clean up your messes. Or if there's no messes, you're done for the day. So Mondays and Tuesdays, you don't necessarily need to be working the whole day. Wednesdays, I want you to consider yourself like a dentist. You might be the person that's hosting the appointment if it's a cavity or root canal or a higher level activity, or if it's somebody else doing something similar or simpler, like a teeth cleaning, you're popping in. But on the Wednesdays, you're meeting with your multi-line team, and then you're doing those multi-line reviews, or if it needs to be the case, you're getting multi-line review appointments. So you're making sure one day a week you are focused on hitting your multi-line targets and those things that help you get to those highest levels of income for you multi-line wise. And then on Thursday, you're doing any team training, individual check-ins on coaching with team members, your recruiting funnel, and then you're learning or you're getting coached. And so this is what it can look like in your schedule to be able to be running your agency in about 20 hours a week. So we got 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, and 1 day a week where you're working 8 hours. Plenty of agents that I work with are doing this. Some of them are working less than this. Some of them are working a little bit more. They really kind of choose their own schedule. Some prefer working 5 days because their kids are in school, but they still have their weekends off. But the main theme here is you can be doing what you want. And so now if we go into the upcoming year, we say, okay, look, in this upcoming year, we're going to work on 4 time blocks. The first time block one is the most critical, is the one we just looked at, is it's going to take me about 25 hours to run my agency and earn my target income. Okay, so 25 hours a week I'm doing this. Now I know there's 168 hours in a week, about 68 of those between sleep and eating and showering and commuting. I'm not doing anything. So I've got 100 hours each week to do with what I want. I'm investing 25 into my agency to keep it steady. And then what I'm doing separately is I have a second time block of about 25 hours a week to enjoy faith, family, friends, freedom, fun. I'm enjoying life outside of work. I got 25 hours a week to do that. Then I have another time block of 25 hours to pursue that most important personal life goal that we talked about at the beginning. And then I've got another 25 hours to pursue my most important professional and vocational goal. And you might say, Wade, well, I already do that in my business. So Wade, I'd already be doing that in these hours. Okay, well, great. If your most important professional vocational goal can be done during your business hours, then that's awesome. Go ahead and do it then. If you're like me, my most important professional goal and outside of my work is that I coach high school beach volleyball. So I'm doing that. So I have a vocational goal that takes me about 25, 30 hours a week. I've got my business equivalent of my 20-hour work week that I do. So I'm working there. And overall, I'm able to have 4 time blocks for family, friends, faith, freedom, and fun, times for personal goals or personal enjoyment, time for professional goals to give or back. And in my case, it's a vocational goal. And I have all these things going on. And that's how you can take your agency and run it in a way where you're not having to spend as much time on the day-to-day stuff. You have a team in place, you have very clear roles, and with each of these roles, you have team members that are focused on retention or growing your business or multi-line the business or helping the agency be as automatic as possible. So I hope you find this helpful. If you have any questions on the nuance of this, of how you make this happen, of how to go deeper on this, please let me know, reach out to me. Again, the replay will be here. You can always check in there. I'll be putting the handout, the goal sheets. You can actually do this work on your own situation. And then if you're looking to find an opportunity to create an automatic insurance agency to do this, there is a coaching program we have available that work with agents. We've been working with agents for over 40 years in some capacity now, and able to help you make this happen. So hope you find this helpful. If you have any questions on this, please let me know. As always, I look forward to helping you create greater impact and income and freedom and memories as you work with your team to impact the lives of your customers and the lives of your family and the people that are most important to you outside of work. Have a great day.